when a country is about to be toppled. Soviet Union, we did it. I'm sure we did it in Poland. These are the guys who don't overthrow regimes. They just nudge. They help. Do you really think that we're the only country that does that? You've ever seen the revolutionaries in Colombia that hate America, want to destroy us, have been waiting for a big communist revolution? Do you really think with our open border, nobody has been sent up here just waiting from all over the world? You think Hugo Chavez hasn't thought, hey, go send a few people up there to help? Do you remember the websites I showed you yesterday? Workers' World Party and the Socialist Party and the Revolutionary Communist Party and all of these parties. I mean, really? You don't think any of these people have anybody, even if they don't even know it? You don't think there's somebody from another country just to raise the chance of success? Bring some money in, bring some help? But the secret is the target country must be on the verge of collapse. Does America meet that requirement? Does it? How strong is America? Because you know what? America is very strong. You can put a big, fat cow on top of America, and she'll stand. But how much weight can you put on this table? How much weight can you do? How many people can you get on here? How many problems? See, America's not this big, heavy desk. America, and we found this out on 9/11, is actually quite fragile. It's the Constitution that is our tabletop. It's a three-legged table. Look what we've stacked on this thing. How much more weight can we put on this table before it collapses? We have the economy. It's a giant anvil on this table, and it's getting bigger every day. Right now, our unemployment is at 9.7%. National debt is at $13 trillion. Our unfunded liabilities are now at $108 trillion. 65 banks have closed this year alone. FDIC closed 6. What was it, 6 this last weekend? 140 banks last year. You add to that an out-of-control government. Our deficit is $1.5 trillion just this year. That's our checking account. We're overdraft by $1.5 trillion this year. 40% of the federal government is now hiring, expanding, getting fatter and fatter and fatter, bringing in more and more people, while the engine of America, the private sector, only 28% of the private sector is hiring. Who's paying for all of the jobs that they're hiring in the government? The private sector. And here's one of the most scary stats I've heard for a while on an out-of-control government. Home loans. What percentage of the federal government owns, or what percentage of home loans does the federal government now own? 96.5. 96.5 of all home loans. What happens if we have another bubble burst? Who pays for that? How heavy does this become? Then you've got Crime Inc., which is what our country is becoming. If you're connected, if you're in a union, you're connected to ACORN or the working family parties. We have radicals in power, SEIU, AFL-CIO, transforming the structure of our country. We are living in the Boss Tweed era. Look that up if you don't know what it is. Basically, it's an era when Al Capone controls all the politics. Then you have civil unrest. Oh, the media has made a big deal out of the civil unrest. Oh, the Tea Parties. What about the G20 anarchists? What about the big rallies that happened just this weekend? Workers' World Party, the Socialist Party, the Revolution Communist Party. The Tea Party is the dangerous one? How about the union rallies that are going to happen in a couple of weeks? Again, they just happened last week. Begging, they're demanding that those evil bankers are shook for every penny. What else is on the table? Oh, we've got war. We've got war. Our military. Do you have a relative in the military? I do. How many times are we going to send these guys back? Afghanistan, Iraq. Is there a coherent plan for this? I didn't hear a coherent plan from the president the last time. Where is it now? And now we've got a president who brushes off Fort Hood. Now he's calling our cops stupid or racist, depending on the day. Which is it? And you have energy. You have this giant oil spill. You know what this oil spill is going to cost? It's going to cost you. You know what gasoline is going to cost you this summer? They're saying now $5 a gallon. Now, I wondered, what will it cost if Obama shuts down offshore drilling? Called Eric Bolling from Fox. He estimates now that if they shut down offshore drilling, and I'm sure that would never happen, nobody's thinking about doing that, $10 a gallon. But again, that'll never happen. Nobody's thinking about, well, okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger is already on that bandwagon.
Before you make a decision like that, you are convinced, that this will be safe. But then again, you see that. You turn on television and you see this enormous disaster, and you say to yourself, why would we want to take that risk?
Yeah, why?
And so the risk is just much greater than the money is worth. So we will figure out how to deal with that extra $100 million problem.
Let me tell you something. That one, you're gonna have that's Arnold Schwarzenegger jumping up and down on this table. The stresses on this country is much bigger than the dot-com bubble. Now let me ask you something. Just think out of the box for a second. If you're one of these people from all around the country, and it doesn't matter what your ideology is, that you want America knocked down a peg, fundamentally transformed, destroyed, put in her place, taught a lesson, whatever it is, don't you think now is probably a pretty good idea to send in the operatives? I mean, if you're somebody in this country, you don't need to communicate from Pakistan to understand now might be a good time. And if you don't think the communist revolutionaries in Latin America, if you don't think that they're here sowing the seeds of unrest, you could come across the border, you could hang out visibly illegal right there at Berkeley, California. You could coordinate the rallies and nobody will say anything. I mean, we've seen the hundreds of thousands of illegals marching on the streets. It's not that hard to get in. You really think that no one is here? Please.